But this speech was actually inspired by Lisa, who talked about a very significant event in third grade. So I began to think, well, what influences was there in my life when I was a little kid? So my encouragement is think about the themes in your life that started when you were a child. Sometimes we don't think much about that, but they can be significant. So I'm going to give an example of that by sharing some of mine. So I'll give you a life history in 7 minutes on that. All right, let's start with my dad. 1945, came back from Europe after accomplishing his 35 missions as a B-24 pilot. Wanted to continue his love for aviation, so he started a career with the FAA as an air traffic controller. Also, he married Madeline Kelly, who also came with her 7-year-old son from a previous marriage. So he sort of started out with instant family. Skip ahead a bit till 1952. He was moving from Chicago O'Hare to Stapleton in Denver. And at that time, there was a bun in the oven. The bun was me. And so as we started our life there in Denver, well, he was 14 years older than me, and he joined the Marines when I was riding a tricycle. Well, by the way, one of my favorite TV shows was Leave It to Beaver. Why? He had a young guy and an older brother, and he looked just like Ron, my older brother. Okay, so there are 3 things that were going on at that time. Now, I was an only child, so I didn't have siblings. We lived in a neighborhood where there were no kids my age, and my parents loved me, but they were both preoccupied. My dad was an air traffic controller, working day and night. He had a second job at a gas station. My mom had some mental issues that she basically was in her own world most of the time. So I learned to keep occupied and ride my fleet, wagon, tricycle, and kitty car, putting skid marks in people's driveways, and climbing trees at the junior high nearby. Well, that set a pattern that I was content with occupying myself. Well, in 4th grade, I joined band, and the first year was fun. I was honking my little heart out and actually was invited to the junior high band in 5th grade. However, that changed some. Band directors are very competitive because they want to win at the school competitions. So they were goading us in a way that I thought was kind of excessive. And that would be being angry at the, we're just little kids, okay? We just started this, but it would be, are you guys reading the music? Is this a mezzo forte? No, this is mezzo piano. Say staccato, staccato. Right. Okay, all right. So this is starting to be not much fun. Well, one band director said, all right, you need to know your scales after our vacation at Christmas. You don't know your scales, you're kicked out of band. So I remember crying during this miserable Christmas break, learning my scales. And when I came to the test, I said, am I kicked out of band? He said, no, you're now first chair. Well, after 4 years of this, I had to make a decision between band and woodshop, and I took woodshop. The good news is my parents inherited a antique pump organ. You've seen them in the museums. We had one. So my dad and I refurbished it, and inside there was a book, 1890, How to Play the Organ. So this was good news because now I was setting keyboards and we had an organ. So now I was playing what I wanted, how I wanted. Now I went to lessons, but that showed still this individualist type of approach. Okay, now switch to my career. That's what I seem to gravitate towards, was being the independent or individual contributor. So I was running the reception center by myself, the bookstore by myself, doing facilities management by myself, And that was sort of the pattern that I had done. But what's interesting, this ability to operate independently was perfect for being an HR director, because that means I had to figure things out. I had to be a support. I had to talk with attorneys. Leadership didn't want reports. They don't want a committee. I just needed to be doing what I needed to do. This even related to what I did as a volunteer. I was a volunteer mediator at small claims court. I would be put in a jury room with people who had been upset with each other for months. And in 20 or 30 minutes, can the magistrate get a mediated agreement? Even when I was doing racing cars, I went by myself. People will say, well, why don't you invite us? Well, I'm busy. my mind, my all the things I need to do it, I don't have time to entertain. So based on that, my reflection is that early origins of being independent and by myself actually was setting the stage for what I would do in life, what I would be successful in life, and it wasn't a mistake. I overcame those things and had, when I was in college, the idea was I don't want to work with people. And then in college, I went through a transformation where I thought I enjoy working with people and became an HR director. So think in terms of what you do in life and what influenced you as you went through life and the themes. Your childhood might say, what did it do for you? What did it do to you? Okay, how did that affect and mold you? So that's my challenge for you today. Just think of the themes in your life and what you can learn from them and see and celebrate the changes that you make.